Part A. Listen to each word. Write the word you hear.
1. If you mix blue and yellow paint, you make green paint. If you mix blue and yellow paint, you make green paint. 2.
If you drop a ball, it bounces. If you drop a ball, it bounces.
3.
When you heat water, it boils. When you heat water, it boils.
4. When you freeze water, it turns to ice. When you freeze water, it turns to ice. 5.
When you put a rock in water, it sinks. When you put a rock in water, it sinks.
6.
When you strike a match, it burns. When you strike a match, it burns.
7.
The temperature of the salt water is taken using a thermometer. The temperature of the salt water is taken using a thermometer.
8.
When you pour oil onto water, it floats. When you pour oil onto water, it floats.
9.
Oil is not poured into the water. Oil is not poured into the water.
10.
The water is removed from the heat once it has boiled. The water is removed from the heat once it has boiled.
Eleven.
If you drop an apple, it falls. If you drop an apple, it falls.
12.
The reaction between the chemicals and the water is observed. The reaction between the chemicals and the water is observed.
Thirteen.
When the substance is mixed with water, it changes colour. When the substance is mixed with water, it changes colour.
Fourteen.
If you heat ice, it melts. If you heat ice, it melts.
15.
The liquid is heated for several minutes until it starts to boil. The liquid is heated for several minutes until it starts to boil.
Sixteen.
The water is stirred for 5 minutes until all the salt dissolves. The water is stirred for 5 minutes until all the salt dissolves.
Seventeen.
When carbon reacts with oxygen, you get carbon dioxide. When carbon reacts with oxygen, you get carbon dioxide.
Eighteen.
The two substances are placed in a test tube together. The two substances are placed in a test tube together.
Nineteen.
The results are estimated before the experiment takes place. The results are estimated before the experiment takes place.
Twenty.
First, he explained that some substances are more dense than others. First, he explained that some substances are more dense than others.
Listening to problem solving.
You asked Beth to be here around 7 o'clock, didn't you?
Yes. What time is it now?
It's almost 8. I wonder what happened.
She might have forgotten the time. Why don't I call and see if she's on her way? I got her voicemail, so she must not have turned on her cell phone.
I hope she didn't have a problem on the road. Her car could have broken down or something.
Of course, she may have simply forgotten and done something else today.
No, she couldn't have forgotten. I just talked to her about it yesterday. I guess we should start without her.
Question 1. How long have the speakers been waiting for Beth? Question 2. What does the man say might have happened? Question 3. What does the woman suggest they do? Now listen to part 2.
Oh, here comes Beth now.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I had an emergency.
Oh, nothing serious, I hope.
Well, kind of. It was Sally.
Sally, your dog? What happened?
Well, I was just about to leave when she started acting strange. Then she just passed out.
Oh my gosh.
I panicked. I thought she had died at first. I had to rush her to the emergency clinic.
But is she okay? Oh, I hope she's all right.
Question 4. Why was Beth late? Question 5. What happened to Beth's dog? Question 6. What did Beth have to do with her dog? Now listen to part 3.
Yeah, she's going to be fine. The vet said it was some kind of virus, so he gave her an injection, and I had to leave her with him. I'll go by later and pick her up. Oh, but guess what?
What?
She's going to have puppies.
Congratulations! You're going to be a grandmother.
Very funny, Bill.
Yeah, Bill, very funny.
Question 7. What did the vet do to the dog? Question 8. What was the outcome of the situation?
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Good morning, Mrs. Ochoa. What brings you here on a Saturday?
Thank you for seeing me on such short notice, Mr. Guzman. But this is an emergency. My Danny was arrested for shoplifting yesterday, and we need help.
Danny? Shoplifting? That's ridiculous. He's such a good kid.
I know. Don't worry. He didn't do it. But he has to be in court on Tuesday, and he needs a lawyer. Mr. Guzman, Danny's innocent.
Tell me what happened, Mrs. Ochoa. From the beginning.
Okay. Danny was at Larson's department store. He was looking for a Mother's Day present for me. He picked out a watch and bought it.
Okay. So far, so good.
Danny wanted to get the watch gift-wrapped for me, but I guess he was in a hurry or something, so he just put the watch in his backpack. He figured he would wrap it himself.
Mm-hmm. Then what happened?
Well, when he was leaving the store, an alarm went off, and a guard at the door asked Danny to show him the backpack. It turns out the cashier didn't cut off that electronic sensor thing. When the guard saw the watch, he asked to see the receipt, and Danny didn't have a receipt.
So that shouldn't be a problem. The cashier could have backed Danny up.
Right, but when they went back to the cashier, she was gone. So Danny couldn't prove he paid for the watch. He paid cash. So the store manager called the police, and they took Danny to the station. They gave him a summons for shoplifting and told him to appear in court on Tuesday with a lawyer. That's why I called you. Mr. Guzman, how serious is this? He's innocent, not guilty. My Danny never stole anything in his life. And he's going to college in September. This could ruin his whole life.
Mrs. Ochoa, tell Danny to be here this afternoon at 3. I'll see what we can do.
Question 1.
Why is the woman visiting the man?
Question 2.
Why did Danny go to the store in the first place?
Question 3.
How did Danny end up being accused of shoplifting?
Question 4.
Why couldn't Danny prove his innocence?
Question 5.
How does the woman feel about Danny's situation?
Listening for information.
Today, the topic is childcare. Let's welcome our nanny.
Hello.
Well, hello, and welcome to the show. You are an unusual nanny, aren't you?
Unusual? Well, yes, as you can see, I am a male nanny, or as some people say, a manny.
A manny, eh? So tell me, does a male nanny or manny do the same things as a female nanny?
Well, yes, of course. A nanny's job, male or female, is to take care of children in a family's home. Nannies usually live with a family, but not always. And nannies often do household chores, like cooking and cleaning too.
I see. But a nanny is not a typical job for a man. I mean, it's a little unusual for a man to take care of children and do household chores, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Most nannies are women. Less than 5% of the nannies in the United States are men. But more men are starting to work as nannies these days.
I see. So how exactly did you decide to become a nanny?
Well, I've always really liked children. I enjoy taking care of them and playing with them. And I enjoy doing household chores, too. It's a good job for me.
Really? So you like doing household chores? Great. But how did you learn to be a nanny? Do you have training?
Yes, I do have training. I went to a special school that trains nannies. I studied about children and childcare in my classes.
I see. So, was it easy for you to find work as a nanny?
Well, no. To tell you the truth, it wasn't easy. A lot of people just don't think men can take care of children. They think childcare is a woman's job. So, at first, many parents didn't want to give me a job because I'm a man. But then finally, I saw an ad for just the kind of job I wanted. So I applied, and I got the job.
I see. Were the parents looking for a male nanny?
No, they weren't. First, I met the mother, and she was very surprised. I was the only man who applied for the job. But she liked me, and she has 2 boys. She thought they would like to have a male nanny, and she was right.
So the children like you?
Yeah, we get along really well. The boys like having a male nanny. I like the same things they do, like sports and computers. I'm like a friend to them.
So the mother hired you as a nanny. What did her husband think?
Well, at first, her husband didn't like the idea. He thought only women could take care of children, and he didn't like having another man living in the house. You know, sometimes he worked late and I was home, alone, with his wife. I think a lot of men might worry.
So what happened?
Well, her husband and I got to know each other, and he saw that his children really liked me. He saw I was a good childcare worker, and this, after all, is what's important.
Well, I learned something today, that a man can be a nanny and a good one, too. Thank you very much for coming.
Question 1.
Why is the man's job so unusual?
Question 2.
How did the man become interested in this career?
Question 3.
What type of training did the man have?
Question 4.
Why is it difficult for a male nanny to find work?
Question 5.
What was the man's reasoning behind him getting his current job?
Question 6.
How did the child's father change his perception about a male nanny? Listening to a news item.
Babies make husbands lazier. New research suggests that husbands do not do their fair share of work around the house. A study from The Ohio State University says that men who do an equal share of housework are a rare breed. Researchers looked at the lifestyles of 182 working couples who became first-time parents. Both partners worked roughly the same amount of hours in full-time jobs. The research team found that men did less housework after the baby was born, even though both mothers and fathers worked the same number of hours outside the home. During the first few weeks of parenthood, fathers did an average of 5 hours a week less housework, although they spent this time helping to look after the baby. It is a different story for mothers. Becoming a parent added about 21 hours per week to the amount of work she did, even with her full-time job. Most of their extra work was spent looking after her baby. The researchers explained why new fathers did not keep up with the extra work after a child was born. They said that most men were simply unaware that the mother was doing so much more work. Another reason is that after a baby is born, fathers tend to follow what happened in their own homes when they were younger. They automatically accept and follow the traditional roles of the mother looking after the baby and the father working, even though the mother is also working the same number of hours in her job. This is Melanie reporting from the United States.